Hello everybody, hope everybody's having a good day so far today. Elementalist Gaming here for elementalist.com. The positive place on the internet where you can make the most out of your games and hobbies. Today I'd like to talk about something very specific, and the thing that I'm going to talk about is how to get better in League of Legends and perhaps acquire the next rank. This is predominantly to silver and bronze players aspiring to get gold, but there are nonetheless tips that everybody could use to become really in tune with League of Legends and the metagaming. The reason why I want to do this is because everybody knows that watching the pro leagues, watching LCS, watching other streamers, they do give you a lot of tips and tricks on how to improve your game. However, the thing about that is when people are up there, they have a really high amount of skill cap, and to get to other places in the lower tiers, it's a lot harder because there is a difference between having someone that's a pro play and someone who's kind of a average, better than average player play. So these tips are for the average, better than average player to really improve their game and really ascend in the ranks. The first tip would be, instead of counterpicking, instead of doing whatever you need, team comp is important. Right now, League has been out for 5 years, and the most important thing about League now is to be able to do what you need to do and have a good team comp. Look at what your team is lacking and try to make up for it by picking certain champions. These will target higher key champions in the match that will have a lot of utility. Champions like a Mumu will be very high utility. Champions with very high AoE damage will be very looked upon in this state, because if you'll have a higher chance of winning just because you have more amount of the crowd control that they have. If you have a really good engaged team but no crowd control, you might have to look at some of your rosters and see, hey, who do I need to get good at so I could be presenting to the team? Because right now it is more than ever a team game. It's been out for 5 years. Everybody has their pocket pick champions. Everybody has champions that they're familiar with. So in order for us to get better at this as a community as a whole, you got to take a look at the team comp and see what your team really needs. That might include sacrificing some damage, some for some more utility. It just all depends on your team. Above all, if you want to ascend in solo queue, I would say you want to have a mixture of stuns and damage, especially in the lower levels, just because if you're able to do a ton of damage and provide a ton of stun, then you'll probably be really strong and really good for your team. And that's what I got for you. That's the first tip. First and foremost, make what your team make do with your team and give it what it needs. That's number one. Number two, when it comes down to being an all-around player, make sure that at least you have the fundamentals down for each one of your roles. While doing ranked, we all have experienced the ranked beast, the ranked monster that says, "Oh, it's pick order. Who cares? You gotta feel it's blah blah blah, this and that." In order for you to ascend in rank, I would say, while giving up the roles, if you are confident in your role and you're confident in winning lane and making an impact throughout the match, you should fight for the role. But in essence, if you're able to fill, I would say filling is a very important part. If you're a support, you're not a great support like me, but you know, like, hey, this is an award and this is what we need to do. You'll probably gain some skills as a support player while you're doing that as well. So really think about the fundamentals of your role and try to make that available to your team whenever possible. If you're a support, try to make vision possible, try to make engage, disengage, or whatever else possible. Okay, so what we learned today, first tip is always try to, the team comp matters, And number two, try to fill in as much as you can. If you get a good fundamental for the whole match, don't mind filling in. You'll have a positive attitude overall, and you can actually help your teammates be a lot stronger. If you're able to do all that, the more specific things that you want to learn how to do in these matches are more based on how to make a difference, like gameplay wise. Now let's go into the fundamentals, right? Gameplay wise, there's a lot of things that you can do what in any given time to make a difference. Because I truly believe that in the first 20 minutes, it could sway either way. Of course, if you lose lane or if you get ganked a lot, you might have problems with your lane. However, within the first 20 minutes, your presence is really, really important. Because if you're not providing the damage for the team, maybe you can provide ganks for the team, crowd control for the team, or whatever else. Or at the very least, provide a meat shield for the team, right? So once you're able to get that into your head, you are vastly important first 20 minutes of the game. So if you don't feed as much or if you go even in lane, you're still a viable person within this team. So that is an important idea to have. Like once you recognize that, then there are small tips and tricks here for you to help ascend in ranks as well. The one thing that I would tell everybody to do is, if you have fed in lane, if they're ganking you a lot, if you've like got knocked out 3 or 4 times in lane and you have to stop, what you can do is, if they're able to dive you under tower, it is time to only farm way behind tower and time to leave lane. It is time to group, because if they're able to tower dive you, you could, like, picture this, 3 or 4 deaths in is probably 12-15 minutes, right? Around the time that they're able to take the first tower, when champions are strong enough to take the first tower with minions. If you're getting tower dove constantly and you failed before, don't let them get their 4th, don't let that get that 5th, don't let them get that 6th death on you. If you defend your tower until it goes down and they catch you, then that means that they're further ahead. So instead of dying 3 or 4 times, you died 5 or 6 times, and that is a big difference. That equates to amount of gold, probably 2 core items built for whoever has the assists and kills on you, and that would not be good for the rest of the team. So if they're able to tower dive you, the rule of thumb is only farm from behind tower to catch up with EXP and try to group. Make a difference elsewhere on the map. Now, there are certain times where you can't do that. Like if you're getting destroyed and your 2 lanes are doing really well, then they're probably going to be pushing. You're probably not going to be able to gank and push without ruining it for them. So really just ward up and try to take objectives and try to go do the counter ganks when it happens. Because when they're pushing you hard and etc., they'll have enough time to go and gank other running lanes. With your warding up, you'll probably be able to find out where they're going, and then you can roam to kind of counter gank or help defend whatever tower, etc., etc. So, rule of thumb: if you're able to be tower dove, ward up, and make a difference elsewhere if possible. And if you can't, well then wait till you're spiking power until maybe mid or late game, and then try to make a difference there. That's what number one thing that I could offer you to, as a tip. Because I see a lot of people say, "Oh, I'm gonna defend this tower to death. I don't care," right? Or I'm just gonna overextend, defend this tower. If you're defending a tower, don't be in front of the tower. Be behind it. That's the idea of defending a tower, right? So those are small tips for you to help improve your game. The other thing that I would say to everybody is, flash engages are real. This is going to be the final tip of the day. Flash engages are real, okay? I don't understand why people don't think that that's a possibility, because I've been in silver for a very long time this season. Probably done like 50 plus matches in silver. I would say that flash engages are real because, number one, if your team is behind, you always have to think about, are they going to flash engage? Because I've seen so many teams that are like, oh yeah, I'll defend it. 5 defend the tower. They go out, like, push them back a little bit. You're supposed to disperse and get, like, jungle camps and go back to the lane and farm up whatever you can, right? But a lot of people just kind of stick around the lane and then get engaged on, get caught out, like, literally one screen away from the tower. And I'm like, why would you do that? Like, don't push out. Flash engages are real, especially if the other team is fed. If you ever go around and like defend a tower, and if you're really behind, please don't defend the tower in front of it. Don't even poke. Wait till they engage on you, and then blow all your ults under the tower in order to turn the tides of the game around. That's the only way to do it. Like, I can't advocate this as much. Remember, when you're losing lane, make use of yourself elsewhere. And only make safe plays. Ward up and make safe plays. You're useful until 20 minutes in. Number 2, when remember that flash engages are real. Because whenever you're doing something, it's not even worth a poke if you get caught out. So always keep in mind, if you're ahead or behind, and if they have really, really strong champions, be careful about that flash engage. And finally, remember all the fundamental basics. Be able to fill, all the fundamentals for support, jungle, whatever else. And just try to improve on your game there. And if not, try to pick super team utilizing team comps. I promise you that if you don't make a difference early on in the match, you'll probably make it a difference later, mid or late game. So don't worry about feeding too much. Just try to be safe and be more aware of your surroundings, and then everyone will have a better bolster of teamwork overall. Above all, to be able to do this, you gotta keep a clean and happy mind, or a neutral mindset, so you don't get bothered by anybody who's berating you or insulting you throughout the match. Because, oh my gosh, like, I win about half of my matches right now. I'm only like 2 or 3 wins above my losses. Half of these matches, win or lose, they will insult you and they will say something that would annoy you, frustrate you, and so on and so forth. Whenever something like that happens, it's important to hold on to the notion of calmness so you can be focused in your ranked match. Because for what reason do you rank? For you to improve on your skills and for you to get better, and maybe for some it's just to see where they place in this giant world of League of Legends, right? So if you're ranking, please, please, please keep a calm head no matter what happens, and try not to make it difficult for everybody else, because remember, it is a team game. With that being said, let's go into today's ranked matches. I hope you enjoyed these few small little tips. I know I've been choppy here and there. It's because like my throat is starting to be messed up again, and sometimes I feel like air coming out and I have to cough. It forces the cough out. So yeah, it's not fun, but I love what I do, and I'm going to continue trying to do this for as long as I can. So please support me any way you can, whether by donating or sharing, liking my Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, or Elementalisk.com. Until next time, keep on being positive and awesome, and remember, have a little fun. I'll see y'all in the ranked matches.